What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Metal Maniacs Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Ingersoll, and I'm here with my co-host.
Yo, it's your boy Mod.
What's up, Mod?
Hey, what's good, Jay?
How you doing today?
Really good.
A little tired today?
Got some extra sleep thanks to the extra hour they gave us last
yeah.
night. Yeah, they put the 2 inches on the bottom instead of the top.
Yeah, when that comes back around, that's a bitch, man. When you lose that hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucking farmers anyway. I don't know why we still do this shit. But
Well, bless them and thanks for the food. You know, I love food. But I don't. I hate the whole. What is it? What is it called?
daylight savings time.
Thank you. I hate it so much. I had it blocked out of my mind. Just buried. What is the thing that we do to ourselves every year? I fucking hate it.
Twice a year to fuck us all up.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the hour this morning, and we went out last night.
Yeah.
And it was a surprise, right?
Yeah.
I had no idea. We had no idea we were going to run into each other last night. And somebody commented, they're like, you didn't know he's coming out here? And I'm like, see, you all have this misconception. You see a band in a photo. Oh, they go everywhere together. They all hold hands and skip down the road, and they're best friends wherever they go, right? And it's like, well, yeah, like we have scheduled appointments and we have things that we do, but I had no idea he was going out tonight. So it was cool to see you last night, man.
Yeah, for sure. It was cool to see a lot of people that I haven't seen in a while, and getting out, I get the comments, oh, you and the wife decided to come out. And I'm just like, yeah. Dude, about 8:30, that's when this old man retires. I got shit to do. I got podcasts in the morning. I got music to write, and I got family to hang out with. So, going out is kind of a thing that's just here or there,
Yeah. So for me, it would seem a little bit more regular, right? But I like to kindly remind people, like, it's like every other Saturday, and that's a matter of if we go out, what we do. Sometimes we just go out to eat. Sometimes we go out and do a little more, but it's really not that much, right? Twice a month is like, 24 dates a year, So it's not really that much, give or take, whatever. So, or 26 dates a year, if we even go out. And that's not a lot in the context of how many days there are in a year.
Right.
So I like, just spending like 2 evenings a month or every other weekend, if you will, every other Saturday with your significant other is not really that much. There needs to be a lot of quality time in between that, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think we need to take and elevate that to the, let's go out, even if you don't really want to sometimes, and it's, so it's good that you guys did that. I know you do it on like a slower clip than I do, right?
Yeah.
You go out just here and there. I have a need. I'm like a tiger in a cage, man. Come Saturday nights, like I'd like to be a little bit more active and social, and I reserve that as part of my routine. Like, all right, let's look at what's going on, what events are happening. So it was good to see you last night. Get out.
We'll usually do that too, but we'll go to dinner. But both of us just get up so early all the time that by like 7 o'clock, like our dates are done by 7 o'clock. Like we don't go out. You know what I mean? We don't go out and have drinks or really be social or anything like that.
Nope.
Usually my social time is 4 shows, so obviously that's the reason why we went out last night.
Yeah,
cool show though, good times and everything. So
I got to dance. It was fun.
Very nice. So today we have a topic episode for you. Like we were talking before the episode that seems like we haven't done one of these in a while, but
I guess not.
Yeah, if you guys have noticed the way things are scheduled and the way we do things, there was a few questions about that too, like what's your schedule? And it just all kind of depends on, how I want to structure it. But we always film these ahead of time, so we may film 3 episodes, we may film 1 episode, we may film 2, so it's just the way that it kind of comes out. But yeah, it doesn't seem like we have done with these topic episodes in a long time, but at the same time, I always enjoy these because these are more of a free-flowing conversation.
Yeah.
We kind of pick a topic and we go from there. So today's topic, I'm going to call it like the top 5 extreme metal vocalists.
Sure.
With the caveat of extreme being like metal in general.
Sure.
I'm not talking like power metal or like thrash metal.
So would you qualify it as having to have like the fry vocal then?
Yeah, some of that. And so for me, I have a few notes here. For a top extreme metal vocalist, to me, you got to have a range of styles. You got to have a good vocal range, right?
Yeah.
You got to have a lot of different types of vocals.
So
a lot
of
if
different
we're talking
pitches, lower register, higher register. Yeah, you got to get up and down everywhere.
If we're talking extreme metal, I want to hear death growls. I want to hear high screams. I want to hear gremlins. I want to hear just like the whole gamut. Like, show me what you can do.
Right.
I want to hear vocal patterns.
Okay.
Like, can you write a good song? Because I hammer that into the dirt, and I say it probably every episode, and people probably want to turn it off because they're sick of me hearing that, or hearing me say that, excuse me. But yeah, vocal patterns are important, and like being able to write a good song is important.
Sure.
Because as the vocalist and as the front man, that's one thing I didn't touch on, like putting on a good show or being a good front man, but I kind of, that's reserved for if you're very familiar with a band and have seen them either multiple times or
it's hard to
are experiencing that. But like, I'm just talking like if you're listening.
Yeah, and it's hard to speak to that if you haven't seen every one of these vocalists live.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, YouTube, you don't want to base too much off of a YouTube video, and people are going to discredit that immediately. You say YouTube, and it's like, don't care what you say next.
Right.
You know, who cares about your YouTube facts, bro?
Yeah.
So, like, I have not seen all of these vocalists either, but showmanship counts, right? I mean, if you're standing there holding the mic, you're the quarterback. You know, you're the pitcher. You're the one that all eyes on you. It starts with you. Like, we're waiting for you to arrive. Even before you've said anything, like all eyes can be on the singer. So you got to be moving to the music before you even start singing.
Yeah.
It is an important element to holding the mic.
So yeah, that's what qualifies for me.
Okay.
In my list, you'll see that some guys don't do any clean vocals.
Okay.
And then a few of them do some clean vocals. So it's not just based on if you can do cleans and heavy vocals. Because at the end of the day, this is an extreme metal podcast. But when we're talking vocalists, you'll see my list does touch a little bit on some other vocalists that aren't necessarily extreme metal vocalists.
Same.
You know, that's a fine line, right?
Yeah.
There's a fine line there between like extreme metal and then like metal that's a little more commercially viable, like metalcore, or I guess I don't even know what else really.
Right.
It's like metalcore or like death metal and those kind of things. But you guys will see our list. I want to know you guys' list, so comment below and let us know what you guys' list are.
Yes, please. I love that. I love reading other people's lists that they give back to us.
I'm going to let you start this one, but I am actually going to just say the king of all vocalists, sue me, is Mike Patton. He's the king of everyone. He deserves the crown. He's done the extreme metal. He's done Mr. Bungle, Dillinger Escape Plan. He can do every vocal I think there is to be able to do, and he's done it. And the many bands that he's done, the Fantomas band, the Tomahawk band. So he's been in extreme metal. He's most known for Faith No More. Mm-hmm. But if you listen to Faith No More, there isn't a wider range of vocals even on their catalog. I don't know how much you're into Faith No More. I love Faith No More.
I love Faith No More. God, they have such a long catalog, and some of it is more for me than other material. King for a Day, Fool for is that okay? So that one is probably for me. That's the black and red and white album art. Yeah, okay, love that album. Sick. Some of my favorite Faith No More material right there. Yeah, and other outside of Epic and the first album that they came out with that broke them. I'm like a greatest hits kind of a guy with them. Just everything that I hear by them, though, I like, and I can put anything on that I won't know the name of it, but it's like, okay, that's Mike Patton. Wait, is it Faith No More? Yeah, I don't know this one, but it's good because it's Mike Patton, and you're right. Like anything Mike touches is worthy of the listen. It just depends on your mood. Yeah, and I love that we get to talk about musicians like that are all over the place. They're not even like they're outside of the world of metal if they want to be doing whatever. Like I'm sure he's got a lounge jazz band. Yeah. Like that's not Mr. Bungle going crazy. Yeah. So I have to agree with you. Mike Patton is one of the all-time great vocalists and capable of doing the extreme metal vocal. Like no doubt about it, you know. So if he wants to do an extreme metal band, what's his most extreme vocal band?
I would say probably when he appeared on the Dillinger Escape Plan EP.
That makes sense.
Like there was just some insane crazy vocals on there. But there's even like on
his screams can get really vicious.
Oh yeah, like he can do that high pitched crazy like black metal like super high shriek thing, and he can get really low as well. So just for me, like before we even start saying, hey, this is my top 5, like this guy is beyond top 5 for me. Like he doesn't even belong to be in top 5 because it's not fair because of and that's the reason why we're talking about that, because he can do all the extreme metal vocals too, and he has been shown to do that. It's not like he's just a an amazing singer that's only done Faith No More. So
Right.
if that's all you think, please go look up Mike Patton and his immense catalog of all of the crazy things that he's done.
Jay, and I brought one of my own to match your Mike Patton. I see your Mike Patton. I don't necessarily raise you one, but I see your Mike Patton, and I offer you one Devin Townsend.
Okay.
I absolutely love Devin Townsend. Catalog so diverse, similarly to Mike Patton, where you've got Terria, you've got Ocean Machine, you've got The Physicist, so many other things, the Devin Townsend Band. The list goes on because just about everything that he does is like a new project name, and there's probably like 20 or more of these projects that he's done. But he does everything from your soft folk vocals, holding the acoustic guitar. Devin will strip it down for you, to just the extreme metal vocals that he would give you in Strapping Young Lad, where it would almost go black and death metal at times, with the shrieks. And he does go down to the gutturals. And I think he's just another one of those vocalists who he'll just do anything. Whatever he can hear it and think to himself, I can do that, and I'll find a space to do that, or it just comes to him naturally. I don't know Devin Townsend very well. I did actually meet him though. It was cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was just milling about at the intersection when they were at their current location.
Okay.
So it was like one of the first shows they put on there. Killer
Strapping
bill.
Young Lad?
Yeah, Strapping Young Lad was on the bill. They were not the headliner, but he was just milling about, and he was really low key, laid back, just shaking hands and smiling and listening to people. So that was really nice. But not why he's on the list. He's on the list because he's one of the greatest vocalists to ever get in front of a mic. And he shreds on the guitar too, which has nothing to do with his vocal capabilities, but the fact that he can do any amount of guitar work while doing all that he does. So that's my Mike Patton. That's a guy that once I started listening to him, I remember showing you City, I feel like. And, and it was
I love it.
What is it? Track 3, where he just does the nonstop vocal. Oh my fucking God.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking God. That's the name of the song. And nonstop.
That,
and that was just one that sold me.
He does that crazy inhale. I'm like man,
I love it. I think it's on Detox too.
I guess I didn't give him enough credit, and I know that he sang on Steve Vai's stuff.
Yeah,
because he won a contest to be on Steve Vai's album, and that's how he got on his album. But if there's vocals on Steve Vai album, that's going to be more of the falsetto, higher, probably power metal type of vocal, I would assume. I haven't heard the record, so I can't say, but I know Devin is very capable of a lot of vocals. So yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. I guess I've never given him enough credit.
They appeared, Steve Vai with Devin Townsend, on, I want to say The Tonight Show.
Oh, okay.
And there's a story there that I'm not going to tell here. It's not my story to tell. But look it up. Devin Townsend with Steve Vai on The Tonight Show. And there's a wild one there if you really want to get into it. And not my story to tell. But it was when Devin was first coming on.
Okay.
And so therefore, where I was going with this was I did watch the performance. And it was a good performance. But Devin was zany then. And it was almost wild that Steve Vai would go with somebody that was going to be a little bit more of a character to front his music, whereas you'd think he'd want vocals to take a back seat to his music, but he really went for it with Devin Townsend on that album, it felt like, and Devin was allowed to be himself in a way before he just went and did his own thing.
Yeah.
So that's my guy that can do it all, the clean vocals, the fry vocals, and something that you can, somebody that you can learn from, if you're a vocalist, listen to Devin.
Nice.
There you go.
Cool.
Now, I will take and roll off of that into my top 5 extreme metal vocalists, and I bet if I did the 3 count right here on 3, we would say the same name.
Okay.
And I want to do that just not to rank necessarily, but I bet if we were going to say this is the one, I bet it's the same guy. So let me see if it's true. 1, 2, 3. Travis Ryan.
Yep.
Yeah. Travis Ryan is the quintessential extreme metal vocalist.
Yes.
I mean, and there are some really great, predecessors leading up to a Travis Ryan. Man, there's nobody like Travis Ryan, dude. And he can do it all too. He's encroaching on that Devin Townsend, Mike Patton, where if he wants to if there's room for more clean vocals in Cattle Decapitation's music, and I felt it on Terracite.
Yeah.
It was there too. It was oh man, these guys can go so much deeper if they want. And they changed their format. They've added that guitarist.
Yeah, that's helped.
So that is definitely noticeable. But they're going to be able to do so many things because of that. And Travis Ryan saying, like, yeah, you guys want a little bit of clean vocal? Whatever. I can do that too, I guess. But it's not even about that. It's about the way he curls that tongue and buries it into the side of his cheek, and he gives you that goblin that is like unlike anything else I've ever heard. I want somebody to tell me who was doing a Travis Ryan style vocal before him.
Yeah, right.
And I think there's nobody. He kind of invented some vocals, and that's why he goes right to the top of the list for me. There's guys that can do it all, but then there's Travis Ryan, who's not only doing it all, but he's doing new things. He's giving you a new vocal. Mike Patton was that type of guy too, though. I think Mike Patton would give you a new vocal on an album. Like, okay, this is my mood. I'm going to contort my voice in this way. So, you know, and Devin Townsend too, but Travis Ryan is the current crown of vocalists for me.
I agree with everything that you said. I think what really put him, like, so you got The Harvest Floor, which came out in 2009, and then you got Monolith of Inhumanity, which I believe it was on the Anthropocene extinction, is when he started introducing that like clean gremlin-y thing that he does.
Yeah, it's
so
like
that was like that new vocal right there. So that came out in 2015. But then when you go to Death Atlas and then Terrasite, and he just refined that even more.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's already showed you on all of the other albums that he could do the lows, the highs, the gremlins, like he does this mid vocal that's like very, and a lot of times he enunciates.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
So you can hear what he's saying, which is really cool.
For a death metal vocalist, that is primo. That's a chef's kiss, man. It's like you can do a fry vocal, but also understand what you're saying, man. Like, way to help the whole genre propel into a listenable, state. So yeah, there's some vocalists that are doing that. Like, the enunciation is imperative, but you can bury it in drippy Cookie Monster all day with him, and I love it all the more because it's like, that is so thick. Like, hearing like 2 or 3 Travis Ryans in the mix, making it real soupy in the vocal department sometimes. Oh my God, that is the best thing ever. It makes the hair on my arm stand up, man. I get to run in with the dog. A dog walk? No, we're running now.
There's not enough I could say about him, but for me, he's my number one as well.
Yeah.
So
not to rank, but clearly with him, I would rank him above all else. No shame in it. Like, I'm sorry. To anybody else listening, like, I think they might say the same thing. I think any of these guys, I don't think there's no ego here. There's no ego among these guys.
Yeah.
Nobody's like saying, yeah, well, fuck him, I'm better than him. Like, maybe. I don't know these people
shouldn't.
personally. Yeah, no.
You
like,
shouldn't.
Any one of these following names should probably look at Travis Ryan and go, how the fuck do you do that?
Yeah.
I want to do that too, bro.
Right.
Like, can we sit down and have a session? Like, let's do something on Zoom or something together. Like, yeah, anybody should be listening to Travis Ryan do extreme metal vocals and try to copycat that or see what you come up with if it's fresh and new and different. So that's my guy.
Okay.
That's my guy. Did you want to volley this, or do you want to? I'll just keep going down.
Just
the list
go
if you
down
want.
the next list because now it's pretty much still your turn because that was my guy too. So.
Anything? Yeah. So I was going to ask you anything more to say about Travis Ryan.
I mean, there's enough to be said there.
Yeah.
I think we covered all grounds with Travis Ryan. He's just a goddamn beast.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And if you're an extreme metal vocalist and you're looking up, if you don't know who he is, then stop and listen to him.
Yeah, immediately.
But something tells me that if you're an extreme metal vocalist, you know who Travis Ryan is. And there's something in your game that you're trying to emulate to listen to him.
Yeah, you should be if you're making extreme music.
Yeah.
Just to, just to be in with what people want to hear, I guess. But yeah, Travis Ryan, Terrasite, man, I consumed it, already so much, and I want more already.
I know.
So give me more. Let Travis Ryan cook. Bring us 5 more projects, please, sir.
I think he has a few other projects too.
Oh,
so
goddammit.
I heard him on an interview not too long ago, and he was talking about this other project that he's in. But so it might be something to look up and see what else he has to offer. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I got you. Sticking with the theme of vocalists that do it all, I'm gonna roll into the next one that we've said his name on the show very many times. So let's just go ahead and get it out there one more time. And that's our dude Denny Filth from Cradle of Filth.
Okay.
probably not known for any really great clean vocals. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, probably does things that are ish.
Yeah.
More spoken word.
Yeah, more of the...
More just gremlin-y kind
of almost
goblin-y speak.
I feel like, like the gothic.
Yeah.
Like the more typo negative.
Okay.
I guess you could say, like that kind of.
And again, a catalog so immense that I cannot speak to every single album.
Yeah.
There's just too much there. And as anybody who's listened to any prior episode, I've had to come forward and say, yeah, it didn't always give them the time of day, didn't always fit into what I was listening to. So a lot of catalog there that I'm unaware of, but I know that I saw what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell me what I saw, or you can't tell me what I heard when I was there and I saw and heard it for myself. And Danny Filth live was a showstopper, a breath taker, and just a really refreshing take on metal vocals live in your face and how it's done. And a guy who is just what I would take as a consummate professional and a hustler, and a guy who's held on to that mantle of Cradle of Filth, that moniker, and said, I'm going to do anything I want with this. Nobody can stop me. And he's done exactly that musically and vocally. So that guy, for me, I want to put him right up there with all these other names immediately because of the vast catalog and the variety, the lows, the highs, the mids, and the vocal phrasing, and also the ability to just like spit nonstop, like that long bar of just fast, death metal vocals, almost like a fast rap, if you will, where it's just like, here goes 1,000 syllables, in a bar. So yeah, Danny Filth for me would be the next guy on the list. And yeah, I think we've mentioned that name enough on the show to where you should definitely be listening to him. Jay, what do you think about Danny Filth? Yeah,
he's on my honorable mentions list.
Okay,
so he definitely is getting the nod from me as one of the top vocalists out there as far as extreme metal. Like you said, the catalog that he's produced, the ideas that he's produced, the songs, the longevity, all that accounts for something.
Yeah,
and just his vocal ability within itself. Like, there's not too many that are going to get a higher screech than Danny Filth.
Yeah.
And then he goes into that guttural low, too.
Yeah.
And you see the guy, and he's just a small...
Oh, yeah.
He's a small man.
He's got to be about 5 foot, 5'2".
But them vocals...
Yeah. And
big man vocals on such a small man.
Yeah, huge
Set of chords on that guy.
All neck. He's got to cut all the head holes out of his shirts
just to enlarge it around.
I love him. So again, a guy who I did have the fortune of seeing. I think the live performance sold me more than anything. And
you said that with the Slept On Bands episode as well. That's kind of what set it over the top for you.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
Yeah. So that one I did have the fortune of seeing live, that vocalist there, and that's what sold me. So like I said, some of these people I have had the luxury of seeing live, and that was what opened my eyes. So here's one that I have not seen live yet, and I'm hoping that they come around on a bill where it's more than just them that I like, because sometimes a band will come through and it's like 2 bands I've never heard of, and now I have to discover. But I'm hoping to see this band on a good bill, and the singer is Will Ramos.
Okay.
And the band is Lorna Shore.
Okay.
I really like what Lorna Shore is doing, especially the Pain 1 through 3 track. Like, that was part of the new EP or new album that they just dropped.
Yeah.
That
I think it was 2022.
Yeah. So that whole thing was really great for me. I love what they're doing. But Will is another vocalist that can do it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that
he can do it all too.
Yeah.
Did you see that he did a cover of Sleep Token, Chokehold?
I didn't
did
see
all
that.
the clean vocals for it.
Yeah,
so he's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah. So Will can do it all, and he brings that. He's almost right there with Travis Ryan as a contemporary. Like, he's a guy who can do it all. I think Will maybe I need to learn more with the catalog. I need to be sure that I know everything Will's done. But so far as I know, I need to hear like a fresh new vocal from Will that's like, I've never heard that before. I want to see if he can invent something for me that like Travis Ryan cooked up for us with that whatever goblin, tongue curl.
Yeah,
thing
he's
that
got some of that.
I want to hear. I need to hear more from Will. I think so. That's just my own. That's just my own knowledge. lacking there. I don't know everything Will's done, but I've heard him do enough to say like this guy is one of the front runners in metal vocals right now.
Yes, yes, yeah. I agree. He's the guy that came on the scene kind of out of nowhere almost.
Everybody loves him.
But yeah, and you know the reason why, and one of the cool things today about Vocalists, he puts out a lot of content. He puts out content on his YouTube. He does covers. He does videos that are like instructional videos for people.
Yeah.
I've seen him sit down like in interviews to explain his process. And that kind of shit is cool because that makes you like the dude. So then you're going to like look his band up. Then you're going to be like, okay, his band's cool. And these guys are on a roll, and they're setting a new precedent for deathcore. I would say they're a little above deathcore because they're pretty technical.
Yeah, super highbrow.
So like,
deathcore.
I hate throwing that term deathcore because it's not as simple as deathcore to me. They're almost like the new 2023 version of deathcore.
Yeah,
but they are death metal. They're technical as shit, and yeah, his vocals are awesome.
Yeah,
they're great, dude.
Yeah. So Lorna Shore is pushing deathcore, and deathcore as a genre is kind of moving with them, where it's not as simplistic as it used to be. It seemed to be like watered down death metal before, where it came from, and now they're kind of like steering deathcore back toward death metal, and the fan bases look similarly. You know, like you can look left to right in an audience that's got a death metal band and a deathcore band on the bill, and it's like, what are we talking about here? We're all just here to play music, and those genres are coming back together in a way right now that is very interesting, and I love watching them grow. And Will's helping push that genre forward with his vocals alone.
Yep, I agree 100%.
So this next one, I don't know if this one made your list at all, and it might be a curveball for you. And it's just by virtue of the fact that it's an extreme metal vocalist. I'm gonna put this one out there. I think this person has shown me enough over time to merit speaking to the name as an individual, but that is Joe Duplantier of Gojira.
Okay.
I think he's a guy that can do the clean vocal if he wants to, even if it's a little bit more subtle and low key, and it's not as, like in your face and over the top as some clean vocalists can really just project and, be in your face with a big uplifting chorus. But he's been able to strip it down and give me a little bit of a clean vocal, but that's not why he's on the list. He's on the list because he reminded me a lot of Chuck when he first came out of the gate. Just something about the higher register that he could reach. And it's not exactly Evil Chuck's, leprosy or, scream bloody gore vocal coming at you, but he triggered something in my brain that was like, man, he's giving me Chuck vibes. And something about their music too was giving me some, like feeling that they were a fan of death. And I think he's on record as being a fan of death, but he can do so much vocally for me that I think he goes on the list. He does all of the lows, and he's more of a guy that he's not going to bury himself with 10 copies of himself in the mix. Yeah. He's usually letting you know, it's just me. I don't try to sell you a high vocal and a low vocal together that you're never going to get live, because I don't think he gets any help with the backup vocals.
I don't believe so.
No, he doesn't get any help with the backup vocals at all. So he does just give you what you're going to get live, but he's got a great range on him for an extreme metal vocalist. And yeah, I'm partial. It's a little bit of bias. I love Gojira. They're one of my favorite bands. So I think I got to sneak him in there, even if like he doesn't go next to a Travis Ryan, Danny Filth, or Will Ramos. But he's definitely a guy that can do it all for a metal vocalist. And, and he goes on the list because he does enough. He checks enough of those boxes. There's guys on here that are going to be like, well, what about so-and-so vocalist? They're an extreme metal vocalist. Yeah, they're kind of boring. They got like two tones. And I hate two-tone death metal vocalists. I'm sorry. That's why if you don't hear
or one-tone death metal vocalist.
Yeah, and that's why if you don't hear a name come out of me today, I'm sorry. They're just not a great vocalist. Their band might be great, but I'm not going to sit here and say like the vocalist is the best part of that band.
I'll say right now, a lot of people have made new fits about the new Suffocation, and I absolutely, the album crushes, but the vocals just kill it for me.
Flat.
It's a one monotone, monotonous, no pattern vocal over almost all the riffs besides guitar solos, and I'm just like, man, you destroyed this, man.
Oh man, that's too bad.
And there's probably Suffocation heads right now that want to fucking jump through the YouTube screen and suffocate me, but yeah, the vocal has just killed you guys' new album. Sorry.
Yeah, that's too bad. That's not going to stop me from listening to it. I know there's a lot
No,
of hype
you
going
should.
into it.
It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that we grew up on some shit like that,
Yeah,
right?
right.
All the old school death metal,
Yeah.
it's just that one vocal anyway, and that's
Yeah.
all you're going to get.
Sure.
So take it for that.
Yeah.
But we've just come so far in music that,
Yeah.
like, you're creating that cool of music. I should only hear this one monotone vocal that's just blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. I'm like, the music is so beyond, like, the pinnacle of death metal right now, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's so good. I love it. But just your vocalist fucking ruined it.
Oh, man. And I think that kind of goes to like the steady knock on death metal is like, oh, it's just got that screaming on it. Well,
Yeah.
well, the screaming's come a long way these days. Why don't you
Yeah.
give that a chance?
Right.
You know, like I think if cinema like invited death metal into their works more where it fit, scary moments, horror movies, something dark, you know,
Yeah.
let's squeeze in some doom death metal here, like so people were more exposed to it with good metal vocals that were like, oh, that guy can do that. That's real. He's really doing that. Like, get people's intrigue going. Like death metal would become like more popular or more acceptable or more known, and in a way that was like, you know, like it resonated with people, and it wasn't like this gimmicky thing that people are always looking down their nose at.
Right.
Like, yeah, because when you're doing the one tone metal vocal, you're doing a disservice to the genre.
Yeah. Big time.
Big time. Yeah,
Or you're great musicians.
yeah, the guys in your band that are like their labor of love, and you're just
Yeah.
over there giving them, you know, Cookie Monster.
Yeah. With
That's
no
not-
patterns.
Yeah, and that's not what it's about, man. That's kind of like mailing it in for me or whatever. You know, I have to. There's vocalists out there that know they're killing the music. They should probably step out. Like, hey, you guys are really good. I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
So find somebody who can do more and better. I'm just wanting to be in a band. I'm not good enough to be in a band for real though.
Yeah. I'm
Good luck.
confused.
Good luck. Any vocalist convincing themselves of that. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm confused.
What's lead
I'm
singer disease?
confused.
Okay, next guy. We'll bring it back to a modern name here that people are gonna. That maybe they've already been waiting for this name. Where the fuck has this name been? Alex Terrible.
Okay.
I mean, this guy. Just when I had to find out what the hype was about. Not big into the band. I'm sorry. Was it Slaughter to Prevail?
Slaughter to Prevail.
Yeah, not crazy about him.
Yeah.
I got to give them more of a chance though. But I think I've heard enough to where whatever the element that's missing, I don't know that they're ever even going to give it to me to make me feel like I love this band. But they
Fair.
might. They might. I just need to hear something that is a little bit more catchy from them. But I've enjoyed some stuff. They've got some straightforward slappers, and the hype behind his vocal was legit. Like
Yes.
his man, like it just felt like an unhinged jaw, just kind of swinging like a Jabba the Hutt type. Like, how do you get that low? And it's just juicy and drippy. And I feel like I'm
Powerful.
and I feel like I'm swimming through mud when this guy sings. I love it. And you know, the presentation of the vocal vis-a-vis their videos, what have you, like with the masks and whatnot. Like, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's a little bit basic for a presentation, but I do like when people want to give me some showmanship, some sense of it, so that it's not five guys in jeans and t-shirts. You know, I get that. I've done that.
Right.
I like the comfortability of my own home clothing. And
Right.
going on stage looking like a badass, like what I would wear out. But these guys are doing, you know, enough visually to make it appealing. But I like the way that the look matches the voice. You know, really demonic looking. just you know, yeah, with the horns. Yeah, give it to me. Alex Terrible, a good representation of what a really extreme metal vocalist should aspire to. You should be able to like put on their music and cover it, like, you know, do your own cover of Alex Terrible before you roll out the band, I think, or expect to be on stage captivating people. You got to be able to do some Alex Terrible, get from that low to the high. I don't think as high as that high, but if he doesn't reach like a Danny Filth type high or a Banshee Scream, he's got some really mean mids there. But
Yeah.
it's the low for me with this guy. Like, it's just so drippy, thick,
Yeah.
guttural.
He made my honorable mentions list.
Okay.
I'm not terribly excited about the band myself.
Okay.
I have given it enough of a shot to just know that based on what you said, like, I don't know if they'll give it to me what I
Yeah.
want. They're kind of like deathcore, but where we're talking Lorna Shore technicality, that's breaching the top of the water, you know.
Yeah.
We're still kind of
Lorna Shore
know,
was kind of cresting.
mid-level.
Yeah,
you know?
they're cresting the genre. And then Slaughter to Prevail is a band that hey, if they're on the bill, I know I'm doing some headbanging,
Yeah.
but I don't think they're going to give me all that orchestration or this other progressive elements that are going to let the music breathe unless they make a conscious decision to do that. But otherwise, it could just be nonstop mosh pit, boots stomping and just elbows swinging, fists swinging in the mosh pit. Yeah, definitely.
I'll give them their flowers, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not.
they're
I'm not
doing
mad about
their
them.
thing.
Yeah,
They're doing their thing. So it's just one of those things. Going back to, I'll never say it sucks. It's just not.
Yeah.
For me that
Yeah.
much.
It's just not
it's
my
not
favorite
one of
thing.
those things that I'm going to go back and listen to a bunch.
Right. Yeah.
But respecting his vocal, and he also does like covers and creates content. So
Yeah.
In the world of 2023, that's what we live in. Like, show us more than just your
Yeah.
band, and then we have more to latch on to and more reasons to check your band out.
Yeah, and I think you make me think of a really good point where if you're a metal vocalist, you want to be more valuable to your band if you're not an instrumentalist, if you're not involved in like the songwriting process, if you're not even having a heavy hand in even the lyrical content, then you should be doing something to grow your brand and your band with content. So you should be getting on and telling people, well, this is how I do this, or here's a one take of me doing this track. You should be engaging with your audience. You should be trying to give more than just arriving in the studio one day and being told what to do, because you're the guy that's the vocalist. You should probably help the bassist or the drummer move some equipment.
Right.
Fucking dicks. Vocalists. No, like you should be doing something to be more than just a vocalist. You got a lot more time on your hands. If you're not writing the music, then bring something. If you're not an artist, then just get on here and BS with the fans and take questions. Do Q&A live.
Right.
Just give us something to help. And I know, and if you're an introvert, then figure it out. There's got to be something else that you can give us besides just your everyday performance on the album. We got to have more. But yeah, so moving forward, this is a guy I don't know if he does much content, but I love what he's presented so far. And I know this is where it's going to be like a handoff to you, and you're going to be able to speak to this even better than I am. But it's Ben Dewar of Shadow of Intent. And another band I have had the pleasure of seeing live, and I was not ready. Man, I was so unready, Jason, and I know you had been gassing him up prior to me seeing it. It was almost like 2 years ago now.
Oh, yeah.
So you had been gassing him up, and I had listened to it, like, somewhat, whatever, but I was so blown away, first of all, by their guitarist. Like, just perfect. Just so effortless. A natural musician, and you could tell. And their drummer, too. Natural musician, just sitting there, just smiling, just having a good old time, clean, polished. Those guys as musicians, I couldn't believe what I was hearing, how clean the performance was coming out of the PA. I was like, this is live? Of course it's live. It's a fucking death metal show. There's no punches pulled here.
Yeah.
There's nothing that you could pump in the PA that would make it any better. It would just make it noisy.
Yeah.
So their guitars, him on the guitar, but Ben Dewar's vocals, again, another guy who's just... He's got that thick, drippy, wet, low register, and it's so powerful, as you have noted in the past. Like, just the projection coming out of this guy. And
he's a small guy, too.
And he's not really much of a showman, necessarily, but I like his presence on the stage. He's got kind of like this hunch and this, like, with the long hair. He almost looks like, from The Ring?
Yeah,
Samara.
The Ring guy.
Yeah, coming right out of the well.
Yeah.
He gives me major creepy vibes, and I just love the stance and the pose. And he doesn't have to run around and jump around like David Lee Roth. I don't want that from Ben Dewar. That's fine.
Right.
I like what he's doing. I like his stage presence, and I like that he does that live. What you hear on the album is what you get live. And so knowing that he's a real one is why he's on the list. I don't think he's done a clean vocal yet, and I don't think he's invented a vocal necessarily, and none of that matters to me because he's in one of the best death metal bands out there right now, Shadow of Intent, and he's one of the best vocalists in modern death metal, and I'm putting him on the list. He gives me enough just in terms of power and projection, and I want to hand it off to you. Speak to his work, Jay, because I know you've listened to them for a lot longer than I have and in probably more depth than I have. But the guy sold me live. I was for it, like 100% after that moment.
Yeah, so he's definitely on the top of my list. He's in my top 5
Okay.
for several reasons. Because when you write good songs and write good music, like that stands out big time.
Yep.
You know, he's got cool patterns. The stuff he writes about, his actual lyrics are awesome.
Okay.
You know, there's a theme to him.
Yep.
You know, the newest album, you know, is kind of more about like war and like
Yeah.
World War II type stuff that I've heard him talk about. But when you listen to him talk and you see some of his content online, you don't expect that vocal to come out of that man.
Okay.
You're just like,
right.
holy shit, where's that come from?
Right.
You know? But yeah, that low is just so low and powerful. He's got a hell of a high. I do want to say there is touches of clean vocals on previous works. The one before Melancholy.
Okay.
But
Not a
I'm
big part
not.
of the game.
I can't speak and say I know enough that whether he did that or not. But I'm assuming he is he's so good that he probably could do that. And these guys been grinding for a while. You know, they have multiple albums. But yeah, I agree. He's definitely in my top 5 on my top 5 list. And Ben, he's just a sick vocalist. That's all there is to it. His band is awesome. It kind of goes back for me where you were talking about Mario for Gojira,
Right.
where I just love Shadow Intent so much, and the
Right.
vocal fits so perfectly, and they're like putting it on for death metal right now. Like if you're like, what's death metal right now besides Cattle Decap? I'm going Shadow of Intent when I tell you the second band on the list besides Cattle.
Yeah.
To me, Cattle can do no wrong.
Right.
When it comes to death metal.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I just love it.
Yeah.
But Shadow of Intent's the same way. It's like I listen to the new album, I'm like, I hope you guys are going to put another one out next week because I need more. Like, it's that fucking easy or something.
Like, playing shows in my home state like, regularly or drop a new album tomorrow because it's so good. Yeah, definitely 2 bands that are representing the genre very well right now. And Ben is one of the premier vocalists in the game in a modern death metal band. My list, I could jump to an honorable mention down in the death metal category, or I can move where I was going to start shifting gears a little bit into like, okay, these are not death metal names I'm about to drop.
Well, let me kind of go through my list, and then we'll start talking about honorable mentions and a few other things. So
because that was about 6 from me.
Yeah, that's cool.
And we'll call Mario kind of like my honorable mention. He's one of my favorites. But if we're calling 5 death metal vocalists, like it would be all the other names that I mentioned. Mario's going to my top of my honorable mentions.
So who's your? So give me your top 5, just in
top
a row.
5. Top 5: Travis Ryan, Danny Filth, Will Ramos, Alex Terrible, and Ben Dewar.
Okay, great list.
Thank you. I like them.
So I'll give you I got like 7 dudes, but I just wrote down a bunch of names.
Okay. Yeah, I've got.
So Travis Ryan, number 1. We've already talked about that.
Easy.
And then I'm going. There's a band called Spite. I don't know if you're too familiar with them.
I like Spite, but I don't know.
Okay, so they're deathcore. They're breakdown. They're usually something I wouldn't listen to be honest. They're usually a band I would just kind of be like, that kind of sounds like a lot of other things. But Darius Torini is the vocalist's name.
Okay.
And he, in a lot of ways, reminds me of Travis Ryan with the variety of like death metal, lows, highs, gremlin. Like he's just got such a cool range.
Yeah.
So for me, when he's singing over that music that is breakdowny, but it's pissy. I mean, it's pissed. It's.
I've heard
it's just pissed, and I just really like it. So for me, I'm gonna have to throw him up there in my top 5.
Love it
because of that vocal. Now, I know we've talked a little bit about some guys that can do some cleans as well.
Sure.
No clean. You're not going to find any cleans. There's no room for cleans in this music.
No.
There's nothing to sing about.
And that's
everything is bullshit. If you the world fucking sucks in this music.
Yeah,
you know?
and some people listening out there will think to themselves, why are these guys constantly talking about clean vocals? There's no room for that in this style of music. There's some room, but it's fair to say that if your band doesn't have room for clean vocals, don't force it in there.
Yeah,
I agree. I'm not telling you that you have to clean sing to be a good vocalist. If it don't fit, then don't like force it in there.
Right.
But yeah. I'm sorry. I have heard Spite. Just get my brain back on track there. And yeah, there's no room for clean vocals in there. What the fuck is he gonna sing about?
Yeah.
There's no room for sad. There's no room for happy. And how do you clean sing angry without it sounding like core
or emo or something?
Yeah, you know. So
yeah. So I just think he's a vocalist. It's kind of almost slept on. Like he could be one of those ones where it's like because of his band fits in a certain genre and in a certain category that people may not know his vocal capability. But I just remember hearing that band, and like I said, not usually a band or a style I would consume a lot of. But when I heard that, his vocals struck me so hard that I'm like, damn, this dude is putting it on for metal vocals, right?
Yeah, he's built different.
Yeah, so that's why he goes on the list. And
I agree. I've heard him though. I just want to speak one more time to his name. Like he was doing stuff that I felt like, if you will, is like inventing a vocal. You know what I mean? Like when I heard him, I was like, oh God, or he's doing it better than anybody else before him. Like some sort of pig noise that I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like that's a vocal? This guy went there? He's fucking sick. So like just the whole mentality, just the whole next level of anger. Like you're pissed? Listen to Spite.
Yeah.
Holy shit. You're pissed? No. Listen to Spite, dude. That dude is so angry. Thus the band name, thus these vocals, you know, like, and I don't want to use this as the best source, but I did watch some like YouTube video of Spite performing.
Okay.
And it was a rather good quality. So I think if you sift and you look, you'll find a good YouTube live, and that guy's out there doing it, you know, and it's fun to watch, you know, vocalists bring it live. I would love to see Spite roll through town on a bill that makes sense for me to go, and maybe just on their own merits, just because the dude is so sick. And you're right, I hadn't had him on my list. I'm glad you mentioned him, because you're right, 100%. He belongs just because of the variety in the extreme metal vocal department. A little bit different too, original.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's why he's one on my top list here.
Love it. Good call.
So obviously Ben's on there. We talked about him, and then I had to add a name as you were speaking, because you said something about Danny Filth doing a vocal that's like a fast vocal, and I'm just like, bulb went off in my head. I'm like, why isn't this guy on my list?
Yes.
So Ollie Peters from Arcspire.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Jesus Christ, dude. How could he not be on the list? I don't know how I missed that. But this guy is a monster. You're talking about like Tech 9 rapping vocals, fast death metal over death metal that's 300 and something BPMs.
I think
like
just
Jesus,
on record,
dude,
one of the fastest death metal bands putting music out, I think, right?
And not only just that is his standout, you know, gimmick or whatever, where he goes, oh, just blah, 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 because there's other bands that do that too. But he has quite the range on him too. I mean, he can do the lows, he can do the highs, he can do the super guttural shit that's even lower than low. He's got mid ranges. So I accidentally left him off the list, but man, Arcspire, such a sweet fucking band too. Like if you're into technical death metal, those guys are probably the cream of the crop when it comes to tech death. So I had to squeeze him on the list, like as you were talking, right?
Love it.
So next for me is Greg Puciato.
Okay.
How we just learned how to pronounce his name
properly.
There was no missteps with that.
Yeah.
So Greg is a guy that I'm aware of that came on my radar in Dillinger Escape Plan.
Yeah.
And he had to follow up the Dillinger Escape Plan EP that Mike Patton was on.
Big shoes to fill.
So Dillinger's starting to introduce clean vocals.
Right.
So this is where he fits into the picture for me.
Okay.
Because all of a sudden he's introducing clean vocals into Dillinger Escape Plan. Like, where the fuck does this come from? Like, you listen to early Dillinger, and it's just mathcore all over the place, grind, I mean, jazz. Like, you're just an onslaught of everything, you know? It's
a lot
like
of instrumentation.
Top technical band, right? Like, as far as, I don't even know what you would call them, like hardcore, mathcore, whatever, but they're not hardcore because they don't really, like, do the hardcore thing.
They're like some tech metal innovators.
Yeah.
They're some of the first to kind of really push that style, whereas I'm sure it was floating around as a subgenre or kind of congealing, you know, in a way. But like when Dillinger rolled out, you know, they had that tech metal thing going on like nobody's business.
Yeah.
They took it over.
But introducing Greg into the band, so we know obviously you're already going to have to scream. He can do low vocals. I've heard him. It's not one of his strong suits, and it's not something he always put in there. But he's just got a great vocal variety. Yeah. And then you start to step into like this Mike Patton territory with him, where he's singing on stage with Jerry Cantrell.
Yep.
He's in Killer Be Killed, which is like one of my favorite like heavy metal bands. That's what you would call them, just heavy metal, right? Like new age heavy metal. and he does a great job on there. He plays guitar on there too, so kudos for that. But just a great vocalist. Like, I just think he helps reinvent some wheels.
Yeah.
He turns some pages, turns some heads when he's singing. Awesome show too, because he just like picked up where that Dillinger, because Dillinger's thing, when I seen him live, it was just like, what the fuck is going on? These guys are literally flinging their bodies all over the stage, and he was the same way. He would like fucking, there's been times where he's had like a barbed wire bat, he's fucking bleeding, he's jumping off stacks, like, so he's doing the thing. Like, so for me,
yeah, he's a performer.
Yeah, for me, he has to go on the list.
Yeah, he's on my honorable mentions, or he's on a list anyway of guys that I was gonna, or names that I was gonna drop today, and I just didn't know if he was gonna go in with that extreme metal vocalist variety. But you're right, he can do it all. He's an amazing vocalist, and I'm a fan of all of his work. In a nutshell, if you will, I love that he's out there doing Jerry Cantrell work, and Jerry's gonna pull out a few Alice in Chains from the catalog to do with Greg. You know, besides what he's doing with the Alice in Chains on tour with William.
Right.
So, you know, just knowing that Greg's out there repping one of my favorite hard rock bands ever from time to time with Jerry and everything else that he's done. And you're right, he can do the extreme vocal, and he can be, you know, anywhere he wants to be, like a Mike Patton, if he so chooses.
Yep.
And it's nice that there's almost like, and there's like that baton because of Dillinger's escape plan, where it's like, oh, we're going to go from a Mike Patton to this new guy who, trust me, you're going to like this guy. And over time, we've seen that we really do like you, Greg. we really want more from you. And he's got plenty to listen to. It just depends on your mood. Another one of those guys where you got to know your mood, but he's there for you. He's going to give you whatever you're looking for, I think. So good call on the Greg Puciato.
So we're going to get into a little bit different territory with these next two guys, and then we can move on to honorable mentions, okay?
Sure.
So I'm going... This is a tough one. So these guys could switch places any which way on the last part of my extreme metal list.
Okay.
So this could be a part where you're going to say this may not be extreme metal. Okay.
I'm so curious.
Because of the clean vocals.
Sure.
So I'm going Bjorn Speed Stride for me as a top vocalist.
Yes.
So he's known to do the lows.
Yep.
He can do the fast vocal.
Mm-hmm.
He can do the higher screams.
Yep.
But this guy can write a fucking great song.
Yeah.
And he can come through with the cleans. Something you wouldn't know. One of my top 5 albums on the
Chain Heart Machine, correct?
So, yes.
Not a lot of clean vocals there.
No, barely.
Don't remember it.
Then all of a sudden, Predator's Portrait comes out, which is the album afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like these clean, like just out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Just clean choruses, passages where you're like, what? Where the fuck did this come from? What's going on now?
And it fits.
Yeah. So for me, that's why Speed Stride has to be on my top 5 list because of his ability to not only to not only just evolve,
right,
but also be able to do the vocal that needs to be done for that song.
Yeah. Soilwork, man, another band that's been doing it for so long now, it seems like. And then we were there in the beginning when they were brand new, and now here they are, like, 10 or more or so albums into the game. Probably more at this point, to be honest with you. Like, Soilwork, 10 albums.
There's got to be more.
Yeah.
With all the different EPs and different things they put out over the last handful of years.
And a band that for a minute there, for a time, God, they were like one of my favorite bands. Even when it was like Figure Number 5 time, and it's not like we've spoke to that album before, and if you take it on its own merits, like, it's a pretty good album.
Yeah,
it's just hard to palate as a Soilwork album. That aside, Soilwork, great band. Like, when they came back with Stabbing the Drama and more after that, like, I just felt like they were doing such great work again after that, and on the back of his vocals, it felt like, and great musicianship. But they've been able to rotate musicians in and out of that band, and I think that's because people want to work with him. And they can get another guitarist if they need to.
Right.
It's because Speed is one of the best in the game. And I think he's a guy that I didn't mean to overlook in any capacity, but I think I went through a really deep Soilwork phase for a time. And I'm not crazy about maybe the last album or a prior album that they had put out. They had that, Flight of the Night Orchestra? What is the name of the band? The other band that he's in, working in,
more of the,
so it had that vibe. It didn't have enough Soilwork vibe.
Yeah,
for
not
me.
enough heaviness to it.
Yeah,
but they've kind of gone all over the place
Mhm.
too, with their catalog. But
As they're allowed.
there's 4 albums in there that like the last song of every one of their albums is just this epic masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it's like it just leaves you wanting more, and
Sure.
they've had a knack for doing that for multiple albums in a row. And if you can do that with your vocal, and I'm singing your vocal later and it's stuck in my
Yeah.
head, and it's just a cool melody and pattern, you got my vote, man. You
Yeah.
got to be on there. And that's why I said it gets in the territory where it's like, is it extreme metal? Well, they started off extreme metal,
Yeah.
and he can do all that stuff, so
Yeah.
he's proven that to me.
Mhm.
So that's why he's on my list.
Yeah, and I think a great choice too, because of the fact that he fits in with some of these earlier names that we talk about, guys that can do it all. And again, clean vocals can be worked into like extreme music. I think you just have to do it tastefully, more selectively, so as you're not forcing it.
But it depends on what you're going for too, because these guys are melodic,
Yeah.
Swedish death metal
Yeah.
with some folk influence,
Mhm.
and that's where they come from. Whereas Spite, I don't need clean vocals from you because your whole idea is just pissed, right?
Yeah.
So I don't need to hear that.
Yeah.
But when you come to Soilwork and you're doing all this melodic, thrashy guitar work with some orchestrated stuff in the background, and you're writing these big epic songs, give me some cleans. I like it. You know, so
it works.
All right, so the last little bit of my list, it's 2 guys and they're tied,
Okay.
and this could be controversial to some people. And you could say this is extreme metal or not, but I'm
Sure.
going Jesse Leach / Howard Jones.
Okay.
So these guys are tied for me.
Right.
I love Killswitch, metalcore, extreme metal, whatever you call it. These guys can also do it all, from writing amazing hooks and clean singing choruses to they can give me some lows if they want to. They both can give me helly like high screams.
Right.
They can give me mids with audible vocals. They can write good vocal patterns with I don't know how much that has to do also with like Adam D helping produce that and how much production. But those 2 guys in their work in Killswitch and Blood Has Been Shed and Times of Grace, all of those bands, they've done a lot of sweet vocals, and I would consider them extreme vocalists.
Yeah, they're totally capable of doing the fry vocal, which is kind of like the qualifier. It's not the only qualifier, obviously, because then everybody would be on the list.
Right.
It'd be
everybody would be on the list.
Everybody that can do a fry vocal would be on the list. No, these guys do a great fry vocal of their own, and they have different registers on that. But they're the type that are going to give you that big chorus vocal. And people go for that. People look, hey, I hate to break it to y'all, but people like to sing music back at the band. People like the crowd likes to sing. Just some bitter pills. Take them.
Swallow it.
Hey,
drink a nice bunch of water with it too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guzzle the water. So
Yeah.
even as a fan of extreme metal, I'm not going to sit here and lie. I love to sing back to the band if they got a hook. Like why lie? So if you can do it, and those guys definitely could do it, bring that part of your game if it fits. I have them on my honorables, especially the Jesse Leach work, because I was there from the beginning. And that first album, that first full length, was something that was near and dear to me. I absolutely loved it. Alive or Just Barely Breathing.
Alive or Just Breathing.
Yeah. So I just, from day one with that band, I was with Jesse Leach. I was like, oh my God, he can do the extreme metal vocals, and he brings me to that emotional, clean vocal that, great catharsis there. I love it. I need it. I'm with it. It's not corny. It's not cheesy. It's not corporate. It's not sellout. It's just, it fits. They did a great job working clean vocals into extreme music. I think any average person off the street puts on a Killswitch Engage record. Holy shit, that's extreme. You listen to this regularly? Yeah, I listen to this when I like to chill out.
Yeah, right.
No, it can be chill, but it's still definitely aggressive, and I love Killswitch Engage, and I've had the pleasure of seeing them with Howard Jones and Jesse Leach, and a big fan of both of those guys. And I think they merit being on the list because they do it all.
Yep.
They do it all. They're great vocalists, both of them. Killswitch really got lucky having 2 great vocalists.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Jeez. Yeah. So for me, I'm going to give you my top 5 because I know I said a few more than that. So
Sure.
I'm going Travis Ryan, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Darius Torini from Spite.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Ben Dewar. That's my 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going Greg Puchado.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be number 4, right?
Yep, got you.
And then to pick a 5th, just for extreme metal, I'm going Ollie Peters from Mark Spire. That's my top 5.
Okay, I got you. Great names. I'm I'm just not familiar enough with Archspire. I know you've been saying that name for goddamn years. I don't know if got the swag he's wearing, and I saw Archspire live. You've seen him, right?
No, I haven't
seen him.
They're
Just
on
probably
the
always
list.
wanted to see him, probably.
Yeah.
But I know you got the swag. You're always talking about him. I feel like I've listened to him, and I think the thing for me is like they're just too goddamn fast for me. It's just my brain.
It's
my
a
brain,
lot after 40 minutes. Like you're just melted after that. But that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah,
they're
again,
pushing.
Yeah, and it's one of those moments where it's like, oh my god, does this guy not like Archspire? He doesn't know. Well, I don't know.
You don't have to.
But it's like I've listened to it, and I'm like, oh, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
And if you get me in a live setting watching their band live, I'm probably gonna just like change my mind entirely. Like, oh my god, I need to own every album by these guys. It's probably one of those things waiting to happen. But I know what they do. And what they do is they scare me. It's so fucking good and fast, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now. Just a band I need to listen to more to understand where you're coming from better. But great list of vocalists. I love all of those guys.
So let's go. We are starting to kind of run out of time here.
Okay.
So we'll give me your list of honorable mentions and any little bullet points that you want to make about them, and I'll give you mine, and then we'll give it a wrap. Because we got a few minutes yet, but
yeah. No, I can make this part quick. We spit the names that needed to be spat. So here goes a list of names and or band names for that matter that I want to call like an honorable mention for extreme metal music.
Okay.
First, I've mentioned this band name before, but not enough. They need to do more to get their name out there. But I'm going to drop it again. Cult of Lilith.
Okay.
And with their vocalist Mario Infantes.
Okay.
I googled his name. He says, I'm a Spanish guy living in Iceland, doing what I love, making extreme metal music. Some quote from maybe his Facebook page. The guy can sing, literally sing like the clean vocals, like almost like this opera vocal. He can give it like really reach down low into the diaphragm and deliver something, and other clean vocals. Just a lot of variety here, and hopefully a band that is able to make it work. I think they were gonna come to the States and couldn't because of a visa issue.
Okay.
Always sucks to hear that kind of news. Like, I'm just like, sort it out, figure it out, please get over here, because when a band is from Europe, like, I just kind of try to earmark them as, when they're going on tour in the States. I feel like it's a little bit harder these days, right?
Yeah.
Prices of everything, travel, right? It's just, if a band from Europe's coming over, I want to make it a point to see them. So Cult of Lilith, huge. Love what Mario's doing in that band. The next couple names I'm going to spit. So the first one here, Mastodon. I'm just going to say Mastodon is a band.
Just all of them?
Yeah. Because of all the things that they do together. So a really good variety of vocals right there in that band. It's not one vocalist, so I just want to drop that name in there, though, for great vocals all around.
I get it.
Mastodon.
Because you need all the pieces to fit to make that happen, to get that vibe, and the way they feed off each other.
Yeah. And I think Mastodon, a band that enough metalheads out there or people that like extreme music can resonate with Mastodon. I mean, maybe not an extreme metal band, but I think they go heavy enough where it counts.
And at times they used to be.
Yeah.
Their work now is a little more just on the prog rock side, but
they've got the catalog.
And they've been able to do the heavy. So
another one, I think this guy may be a little bit underrated, but I think watching him grow over the years has been really fun to watch, and that's Tommy Giles Rogers Jr. of Between the Buried and Me.
Okay, fair.
Like at first I maybe wasn't on board with some of the introduction of the clean vocals. Like I was like, this guy thinks he can sing, but he can sing.
Yeah.
He can sing, and he works with his voice very well, and he gets better at it all the time. And I think just such a clutch and crucial part of that band is, just him doing all of the things that he does. I feel like he's very heavy-handed in what is the band name Between the Buried and Me. And I love all of his work. Clearly a guy that can do it all. Very distinct voice.
Yes.
In his fry vocal, like it's different almost. You're like, it's almost strained, but he's been doing it for so long, like he can still do it. I've seen him do it live.
And he used to bust out those lows a lot more, so he can do the lows.
Yep.
And then,
really
to me, he's got like that his fry vocals almost like the carcassy type vocal.
Yep.
Where it's kind of in the mid-range. But he works really well with enunciation. And I felt like his clean vocals have come a long way. Very unique. His voice sounds like him. There's not a lot of the guys, just doing what he does. But yeah, I think that's a great mention because especially of the complexity of what he does, and also plays like piano and shit while he's singing. And they've covered Queen and covered all these cool bands, and
I love
all that
cover
shit
album.
all that shit sounded very similar to what was happening on the original. So yeah, big ups to Tommy.
Yeah, I have loved watching him grow over the years and do more with his vocals. So with that, rolling into another band, very progressive and very extreme, and that's Rivers of Nile.
Okay.
Now, they just parted ways with their most recent frontman, lead vocalist, and they just handed off the duties to Adam Biggs, their bassist,
Okay.
who was basically backing up the Fry vocals and providing the clean vocals. However, we're going to have the luxury of experiencing a Rivers of Nile album here with Andy Thomas from Black Crown Initiate on the record as their second guitarist and also backup vocalist. I would have to assume because of the fact that he did all of the clean vocals on Black Crown Initiate's work.
Okay.
And I love his vocal, especially the clean vocal that he brings. Man, and a band name that we probably haven't mentioned enough or at all on this show right now is Black Crown Initiate, and I'll just say it 5 times right now if I have to, because I don't know that they are a band anymore, to be perfectly honest with you. I don't know what's going on in that world. There seems to be like next to nothing happening right there on that front. So I'm not going to tell people go run out and make them your favorite band if they're not doing anything.
Right.
But their work is worth listening to. I absolutely love what they've done. So Andy and Adam together in whatever Rivers of Nile is about to do is just something I want to put on people's radar, because I know Adam can do the Fry vocal and he can sing and Andy can sing. So that's going to be a really interesting album upcoming. Nice. So those are I have more names, but I'm just going to spit them really quick.
Okay,
not even talk to them.
Yeah, give it.
Courtney LaPlante, Spirit Box.
Okay.
I love what she's doing. This is a hard rock, but can be an extreme metal vocalist if he wants. Ben Burnley, Breaking Benjamin.
Okay.
Just a guy like a Greg Puciato. I think if you put him in an extreme metal band, boom, it works. Serge Tankian, System of a Down.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I just love him. I'm sorry. I don't care. Say what you want. You've heard his work. You know he can do just about any vocal he wants. He's one of those guys. He's a character, and I love his work too.
Eclectic.
Yeah, love him. Another one. This is the last one. And probably a newer name, but the lead vocalist of Bad Omens, Noah Sebastian.
Okay.
I know.
Not familiar at all with anything.
That's all right. They're not a metal band. That's why. But they have done heavier work in the past and I've seen like footage of him doing like that super low guttural that you're like, geez, that doesn't even really fit with your music almost. Maybe they got a breakdown that it fits in, right? And they've moved away from that. They still got hard stuff, but he's a guy that can give you anything across the board, from that low guttural to that high-pitched scream to the falsetto that's becoming popular in newer rock music, where it's just a fluttery little, floating up there. Like no metal vocalists really go there, but Noah Sebastian's a guy that I had to get his name out there on this show just because he's an amazing vocalist, more of a rock vocalist, but capable of doing all of the metal things as he has proven in their prior work, but just more of a clean vocalist, but a guy whose work I absolutely love. And if people want to learn to sing, as we've mentioned clean vocals on this show several times today, there's a guy who, if you want to emulate some clean vocals, get on that, because people are eating that up for good reason. It's tasty. It's good work.
Nice. Okay. Give me 1 second. I just got to pull up a quick name because you were speaking on that, and I want to add one guy real fast because you were sparking some.
I had to have some rock vocalists on here that aren't extreme metal because of the fact that I'm a huge vocal fan, and some rock vocalists are my favorite of all time, and I didn't want to leave them out of a conversation that they belonged in because they can also do those extreme vocals. They're just more like the mainstream bands. Breaking Benjamin, nobody's calling Breaking Benjamin metal,
right?
But Red Cold River is like a harder metalish song. It's just hard rock, if anything, but I gotta squeeze him in there. And Serge Tankian, nobody's calling System of a Down a metal band necessarily, maybe new metal, but to me,
they got some metal elements.
Yeah, for sure. It just depends on the song, really.
So I really only, obviously when we make these kind of lists, it's hard to go over everybody or, because this is just off the top. We're not researching this for 4 weeks and weeks. No. We're just, we put the idea out there, let it ruminate, and then kind of see what we pull out of the ethos, right? What we can dig up from the seeds that have been planted for the many of years that we've been listening to metal, right? So I have 4 guys. My honorable mentions, like we said, Jesse Leach, Howard Jones, Speed Stride moved down to the honorable mentions because I had to pick 5 for the list.
Sure.
Will Ramos.
Yep.
Not that it's ranked in any way, badass, right? Alex Terrible, he
Yep.
was on my honorable mentions list as stated too. Danny Filth, obviously on the honorable mentions list. But I'm going Vessel from Sleep Token.
God damn it.
And the reason why I say that is because like he hasn't done maybe like the low guttural rolls and all of that, and they may not even be extreme metal, but I'm always going to talk about that band on this show because they're extreme in a different type of way. Like they've come with such a new take on a kind of music that has elements of things that I love, but his vocals are so badass and his patterns and the way he writes songs and his poetry and just the whole vibe and everything. I have to have him on my list as an honorable mention. You can say, fuck you guys, you aren't really extreme metal because you're talking about Sleep Token on your show again, but I don't want to hear it because they do have some heavy shit. He can do the screams.
Yeah, 100%.
He can do some cool screams, but he can also do some vocals and layers and ideas that has never been heard, or at least to this kind of extent in music. So he's on my honorable mentions list.
Yeah, and just a guy, man, Vessel, love him. I'll talk about Sleep Token on this show anytime. I'm a huge Sleep Token fan. I smile so hard my eyes pinch shut. Like, I love Sleep Token, and you're not going to tell me not to, and you're not going to make me not. But to your point, great vocalist, love the lyrics, love the variety of vocals, and if you're a fan of music, you should probably listen to Sleep Token. And if it didn't resonate with you the first time, maybe you weren't in the mood for it, but it's a great album. It's got a lot of diversity on it. I love to go for that ride from start to finish on the most recent work. Leaving Eden, the Garden of Eden. I forget. Don't ask me these questions anymore. That phase of my life is over. I don't memorize shit like that. But Vessel from Sleep Token, thank you. That's a great note to go out on. Like, that's a great vocalist right there. He can do a lot, and very unique voice. I think that was the biggest part of it for me, and just the fact that the genre hops so well and fluid, from one riff to the next or one part of the song to the next. There's so much variety there. I'm not mad about it. I don't know that we need to do a whole show about the band, but it's maybe the stopping point for every listener. Like, Sleep Token's not metal. Off.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's metal enough.
Yeah, it's metal enough. And you got to go through their entire catalog to get those good pieces of metal where they get heavy. Their drummer's freaking top-notch, amazing. And I know when they play live, they play some of their heavier stuff live because they have their instrumentalists also standing out there, not just letting the backing track play and then them not doing anything. So moving on real quick, because we are running out of time. We got this interview coming up here. I'm going Sven de Calway from Aborted. He can do everything in the extreme metal category. He almost made like top 5 just because he's from Aborted. If you guys are into death metal, technical death metal, the dude really can just crush on the vocals. He does all the vocals necessary. He's the guy, him or Alex Terrible, those are the guys that should have been on the new Suffocation record.
Right.
Sue me. And then there's a band that's come on my radar, and they're going to be on my top albums list. They're called Carnosis, and Dylan from Nociception turned me on to them.
Okay.
They are technical death metal from Sweden. His name is Jonathan Karsiak.
Okay.
And his vocals stood out big time to me, just being able to do the same kind of thing that Aborted does, where he's just got all these ranges, very unique vocals at that, but like all the layers. He's got everything that can be done when it comes to the death metal vocal. I will say this with Carnosis, and I'll talk a little bit more on when we do our Album of the Year review, which is coming up very soon. It can get a little soupy at times, and his patterns are not as distinct as some of the other ones. That's why he's on our honorable mentions list.
Okay.
And then I'm going to add one more because you were talking about vocalists that aren't necessarily always in like crazy heavy bands.
Sure.
But this guy, Garrison Lee from the band Era,
okay,
band that's come across my radar as of late. I've heard a lot about him before, but the dude's clean singing and being able to write a chorus and also do the heavy vocal over this technical, like, almost metalcore. I don't want to say metalcore. They're hard to describe, but they are like a technical, like, gent type band or whatever. Yeah,
gent.
Progressive.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten more into them and like absorbed more of their music, I was looking for a word. like actually paying attention to it, diving into intentional listening. That's what I was looking to say.
Yep.
So once I've done that, like it's really grown on me, and this guy has really like put his mark on like, okay, cool. I really like this clean vocal, and he can do heavy shit too. So it like goes across the board. We could probably go on and on and on. So at this point, we're going to wrap it up. We gave you guys a bunch of vocalists. We want to hear what your guys' vocals are. So leave a comment below. Maybe somebody we forgot that might strike a chord with us. But at the same time, I just want to thank you guys for listening. Anything else, Mod, that you got to say?
I got to listen to some more Era. I'm glad you brought that name up. Yeah, I have heard their music. You're right. That is good.
I think you would like them a lot because I know you're really into like the Valamaya and the Born of Osiris and like all those bands are kind of all of those bands are kind of doing more of the clean vocal and stuff now too. So like adding more of those elements and not just like the gent and the weird timings and stuff. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for checking out the episode and keep it metal. Peace. Thank you so much for checking out the episode. Be sure to hit that like button and give us a share.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed our podcast today, please give it a rating on your streaming service to help us gain some exposure.
And if you really enjoyed the show, please give us a follow or hit that subscribe button and come hang out with us every week. And remember, keep it metal.